So this morning I wanted to talk about the winch that I put on my 2020 Silverado 1500. Um, when I wanted to put a winch on the front of the truck, but when I looked for aftermarket products, winch mounts, front bumpers, either the winch mounts for the stock bumper don't exist or I couldn't find them. There's a few aftermarket bumpers, but they're ridiculously expensive right now. So what I ended up doing was buying a Warn Xeon Platinum 10S winch to mount. And the reason that I went with that winch was because it has a remote that does everything. You don't have to be able to get to the winch to activate the clutch or any of that. So this is what I came up with. Basically, I built a mounting plate that bolts to the frame. There's a few mounting holes already. I didn't have to drill into the frame at all. I just used existing bolts or existing holes and added some bolts in those holes. And then I used a 1/4 inch plate. And the plate really only needed to be about 27 inches by roughly 10 inches, but I made it long enough to stick out the front of the bumper just a little bit, so that I'd have a flush mount for the plate. Because if you have a Chevy Silverado, you know that the front it's not flat here. So this would not have mounted to the stock bumper. Anyway, there's a lot of space behind the stock bumper, and so the winch fit beautifully back there. I had virtually no difficulty fitting it up. It took me a little while to get the dimensions for the mounting plate right, but again, it's 27 inches from inside the frame to inside the frame, and I think a grand total the plate is about, if I remember correctly, something like 20 inches total length. But if I have any questions, I can write down the dimensions of exactly what the plate was. So if you wanted to fabricate it yourself or have a shop fabricate it, that probably worked for you. But this shroud, we'll just call it, this shroud took me a little while to make this shroud, because this is just plastic, and I had to cut the hole for this to slip on about a 1/2 inch on all sides, too large to make it easy to slip on and off. But of course that looked a little ridiculous, so I just made this shroud to cover that 1/2 inch gap up. But I think it looks great, and it works well. No issues with the function of the winch. It does stick out now, so my goal was to keep it as flush as possible to the front, because I park in the garage, and so I couldn't make it any longer than the truck already is, or it wouldn't fit in the garage. But this did add about 2 inches to the length of the truck, just because this plate is so thick. Otherwise it fit great. But let me show you some of the angles of what it looks like from the front, from the side, from underneath, and then a little bit from the back, so you can get the idea of how I did it, and then maybe if you want to do it, it'll give you some ideas for how you can do it. So this is a close-up view of the front of the winch, so that you can see what I had to do. Give yourself some ideas. And this is the underside. I think it came out pretty good. There's really no gaps. It almost looks stock. If you didn't know any better, you'd probably think that this came with the truck, to be honest. I coated it with Raptor liner, and which turned out great. It seems pretty tough. This is basically what it looks like from the side, and you can see that it does stick out a little bit, but it's not too bad. And again, the reason that I had to come out at all from the bumper is to give it a flat mount in the front, and to make sure that if when I rewind this thing, it has something fairly strong other than plastic to pull against. But anyway, and then I'll show you here in a second. I'll show you what it looks like from the back. So this is basically what it looks like underneath the truck mounted. It's kind of hard to see because I'm super close up, but you can probably get the idea. This is obviously the driver's side frame, and of course this is the passenger side frame. It's 27 inches across from frame to frame. If you're looking for fabrication purposes. But it's easy to get to from back here, where the winch is mounted, and you can see there's some holes, some existing holes that I used to mount the winch on both sides, if you can see that. And then with the running the cables was easy with the front bumper off. And the bumper is super easy to take off. You can't really see it from down here, but basically there's those 3 bolts there that you can see, these 2, and this one back here. There is a bolt that it's very difficult to see, but there's a bolt right here, and then there's it's duplicated on the other side. So there's those 6 bolts, and then 2 that you have to get from the top. That's it. Everything else, basically it just slides off, and then you have to, excuse me, you have to undo some connections. I'll show you that here in a second. So the connections that you have to do, you only have to worry about if you have a, so I've got a front-facing camera, and of course I've got the parking sensors. And the front-facing camera, when you take this this grill off, there is a connection that's right back here. So when you pop this off, and it takes so be careful when you're popping this off, because it takes a lot of force to get that thing to pop off the first time. So just be ready for that. Anyway, there's a connection here for this cable, and then for the parking sensors and the fog lights, all of that there's one plug right back here. So when you have all the bolts off, you slide this forward, and before you actually remove it, just unclip that connector. And that's it. I think it took me a grand total of maybe 20 minutes to take the bumper off, and I had never done it before, so it is a lot easier than you would expect for a front bumper. So one last addition to this video before I stop is how I connected the power, because it looks really clean under here. It's a new truck, so I wanted to keep it clean. But I needed some connections for the truck, not only for the winch, for some of the other accessories that I added. So what I did was I added this distribution block here, and then a distribution block here. Of course, this is the negative and the positive. And so then I have one main power wire coming off of the battery. And so that kept it clean, because later on, if I start to add, multiple accessories, this will give me these blocks will give me somewhere clean to hook up to. So I wanted to show you that, this. Oh, and also I made this little cover plate out of a piece of plastic that I bought off of Amazon, so you can't see any of the wiring underneath, to keep it clean. I'm showing you this so that you can get some ideas and maybe come up with your own designs. But also make sure, and I'm sure you're going to look at the winch specs, but this winch is rated for at full load 400 amps. So make sure your cables are rated for 400 amps if you're going to extend the cables like I did. So that's it. That's the I didn't do a full install video because frankly it took me like 4 days. It took me 4 days to get the design, fabrication, and all that correct. I would warn that I've been a certified welder in the past, so I have some skill when it comes to welding. If you don't have that, don't let that deter you. Because something that I found that just because it doesn't exist doesn't mean that you can't make it exist. So take the measurements, come up with the design that you want. Take that to a fabrication shop, your local guaranteed your fabrication, a local fabrication shop would be happy to build this for you. It might cost you a couple $100, but at least you'll have something that no one else has. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching.